Greening Education for Sustainable Development. I'm very happy to present to you today's speakers who will also be leading the three breakout sessions in the order of their interventions. I present to you Dr. Nina Volles from Paeradigms. Next, I present to you Stephanie Nicol from Save the Children. And our third online participant is Bardh Xërdxa from Caritas Switzerland, joining us from Pristina, Kosovo. So, green skills, they were mentioned already this morning as a particular element that is missing out from SDG 4.7. And in our workshop, we want to address why should you be concerned about green skills, what are they, and then why do green skills relate specifically to youth, what is the interrelationship, and thirdly, what role do teachers and trainers, but maybe also development actors have in implementing green skills, and what have been certain best practices or guidances that we could collect from different regions, municipalities, for how to implement green skills. Next slide, please. Work. Oh yeah, okay, oops, too fast, that was too fast here. Okay, so here again, the mission of today's workshop is to green SDG 4.7, because green skills are not explicitly mentioned, but are part of these, some of these terms. And I think Nina will in particular explain to us what green skills are.
Next slide, please. Marion. Yeah, so we're very grateful to have these three speakers with us today. So the first speaker will be Dr. Nina Volles. Nina is a managing director and funding partner from Paeradigms, which is a Swiss NGO based in Ticino, the Italian-speaking part of Switzerland. And Paeradigms' main focus are on higher education, TVET, climate change and communications. And Nina has a long expertise in projects in strengthening teaching and learning in higher education, mostly in Africa, but also in Asia. Our second speaker will be Stephanie Nicol from Save the Children Switzerland. And Stephanie is an urban program officer, and she's in the program Urban Cities for Children with a strong background in public administration and sustainable development from Geneva Universities and Tsinghua University. And she will speak about empowering children and youth as agent of change to tackle climate change challenges. And our third speaker will be online, and it's Bardh Xërdxa from Pristina. Bardh is working for Caritas Switzerland in Kosovo and is a project environmental coordinator for the RECI project in Kosovo and RECI for Youth Environmental Impact project. And he will give us an overview for this project, and we will also have Eddie Vitya, a student involved in this project, who will also participate in this workshop. Bardh is an ecologist, a PhD ecologist, and has been working for the UNDP's program for biodiversity protection in Kosovo. So this workshop will be organized mostly in two parts. So we will have a quick survey led by Marion, less or more 10 minutes. You already know the concept with the previous survey. And then we will have 30 minutes inputs from our speakers, 10 minutes for each speaker, And these inputs will be followed by a breakout session, and we will be divided in 3 groups. 2 groups here face-to-face, mostly in English. There will no be translation for these groups. And 1 group online in French and English. The 2 groups here face-to-face will be led, one by Nina and the other one by Stephanie. And the 3rd group will be led by Bardh and me. And after this after this breakout session, we will be back to the plenary and discuss for 10 minutes and discuss reflection. Thanks to you, I will let Marion.
Thank you. So it's time for another survey. What are the green skills? I don't know how to put the QR code in here. Yes, thank you. Super. So please take your mobile phones. And the first question is, what are the green skills? You have some predefined answers, and more than one can be correct. Okay, it's changing a lot, so the phrasings are complicated enough. Yes, so okay, so 1, 2, and 4 were correct answers, and number 3, transversal skills, is the first part is correct, but the second part of the sentence contains a bad neoliberal word that doesn't have a place in green skills world. So, efficient. Next slide. Okay, and this one is again to collect, to pick your brains and collect some adjectives. What about green skills? How do you implement them? Verbs are very good. Anything that comes to mind? Yeah, that's really great. So there are a lot of actions in integrating it in school and communities, in jardin scolaire, kindergarten, and taking up some of the lessons of this morning, intersectorial, probably not overburdened curricula. then sustainability games and singing green songs. That's, I'd like to know what green songs come to mind, but that would be nice. Some people are still typing. Can you try to show image? 'Cause I can't do it from here. No, okay. We go to the next. Thank you. So here are the inputs. We start with Nina, a new green learning agenda, green skills for a just transformation. And Nina, I give you the floor.
Thank you. And what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to stand here. Do you want me? Thank you. So, first of all, I lost my notes here in the room. Having a head like a garbage can, we see what that will be like. And I also learned it's not the latest version of the presentation, so we go along with it. You know, resilience is actually one of the green skills, so let's actually live that. First of all, I really want to say thank you to RECI for having accepted Paeradigms as a member. We are absolutely delighted. We are a very young NGO and social enterprise working in post-secondary education mostly, and we believe in that knowledge exchange is part of ethical behavior. So we really hope that we can contribute in one way or another to these exchanges. Now, how do I get to my presentation? It's happening? Oh, fantastic. So yeah, my name is Nina. I work for Paeradigms. See it here. So green skills. We started working on a big green skills project in the beginning of this year, where it's about mapping innovative approaches to implementing green skills in post-secondary education. We have mapped projects and then interviewed 40 projects that are being implemented by GIZ, LuxDev, Enable, the British Council, AFD, Expertise France, and the Austrian Development Agency. And it is quite interesting because we have to remember that green skills is something, it's a fairly new thing. And so that always means there's a diverging terminology floating around. Green economy, green transition, green skills, key competencies, green whatever. And in a fairly new field, often then the terminology is not very clear, and also the typologies are not so clear. So let me just tell you an anecdote. So the first interview I did was with a project in Madagascar on green living labs, where basically you have, what's happening again? Okay. I can go on. Okay, you made some arrangements. Okay, technology. And this is about biodiversity and communities that live off the forest and that live in the forest. And there is tension, and this forest living lab is actually having these different stakeholders manage a part of the forest together. And they use gamification or games in general, but also things like playing theater to have people understand the view of the perspective of the other side, for instance. And it was really interesting. So I come in and interview the project team, And then they're telling me that, I get very excited, and I tell you in the end why, because I think, wow, this is like the coolest project ever. And then I ask, very naively, this guy, I ask, but what green, actually rather in the beginning, what green skills are you really trying to foster here? And then blank, nothing. So next project, same thing. And what then became rather clear over the next interviews was, can I come to the presentation? Not possible? No slides. Well, what became resilience, resilience, part of green skills. So I think I'm being tested here, walk the talk. So what is really interesting, so we also looked at hundreds of documents on green skills by intergovernmental organizations reaching from UNESCO to, let me see, there my brain is really, oops, sorry, no, I went too fast. Here, from OECD, UNESCO, the World Bank, the European Union, Women, African Union, IRENA, CDFOP, name it. Now I'm just putting some, but I think what really became quite clear, analyzing the whole discourse, is that it's a spectrum. And if you look on the left, the OECD has really more of a, call it green economy approach. Where we say yes, but profit, I'm being very hard here, I'm being filmed, this is maybe not very wise. Profit is still really, really important, and there's a lot to that, to really on the right end of the spectrum, where ILO is talking more about about the just transition. And this doesn't work, or maybe I should not be impatient. Yeah. So it's a spectrum. So just transition, which basically we are talking about social, economic, and sustainable change here. And I think it is really important when you look at this as a spectrum here on the left, really, we need to change something, but this will take time, and then maybe a little bit better the green transition, and then really, are we talking about a transformation where there's some disruptiveness in that? Yeah, and often transformation and transition are used interchangeably, but I think we need to think very carefully what we are using, really. And so clearly the position of ILO on the right says we cannot continue like that. There needs to be some very deep changes, a disruption in a way. Whereas OECD, well, we continue like we've done before, but a little bit better. I'm just taking these two as an example on the extreme of the spectrum. And all of the others somewhere in between. And my message is, it really, and there is no, I don't want to put a value of what's right or wrong, but I think when we work in our work and with our partners, we need to decide what is it that we want, and that is very important. Working in this project, and the material is going to come out in December, with different development actors, we defined green skills, and the difference between skills and competencies, and that is used differently by different organizations. So we decided just to stick with skills with a big disclaimer. Green skills include the technical, generic, and transformative knowledge, skills, and competencies needed to contribute to socially, economically, and environmentally just society. So that would be more on the right as to a just transformation. Now, but what does that mean? And this is not interactive, but let's see. So let's decompose it a little bit. But it became very clear through these interviews and the work that, what are we actually talking about? And I think let's try to unbundle, decompose it a little bit. And so let's divide it into technical skills on the one hand, and then transversal skills on the other hand. And then if we talk strictly about technical skills, let's talk about technical skills for new green jobs. And now I need to, and that could be a hydrogen engineer, for instance, a job that wouldn't exist beforehand, new jobs. A solar panel technician, something that maybe 20 years ago you wouldn't have found. You know, these are, or sustainable fashion designer, jobs that did not exist before, so skills for new jobs. Then the second one is skills for upskilling or greening existing jobs. So we have the architect or the builder who need to learn about energy efficiency, you know, or we have people who work with waste, you know, greening that job. So this often goes about updating curricula, but also lifelong learning initiatives. Then we have generic skills, or transversal soft skills, you could also call them, or life skills, depends on which organization you talk to. And there we have things like teamwork, leadership, communication, and communication, and yeah, these kind of generic soft skills. And then I think the really important thing that nobody is talking so much about, in literature at least, and I was really delighted to see in the beginning of the event that a lot of the more disruptive green skills, transformative green skills came up, and these are things like political agency. It's like questioning, disruptive thinking, questioning norms. These are, let me just go to my next slide because my brain is
2 minutes left, Nena.
to the left.
2 minutes.
Ah, 2 minutes. Okay, almost done. Okay, so so respecting diverse viewpoints, solidarity, valuing indigenous knowledge, embracing diversity and inclusion. This is not an exhaustive list, but I just put that down for you if you want to go back to it. And it's interesting to see that when you start to decompose it into these four areas. So first, technicals, transversal, soft skills, and then you say technical skills for new job, technical skills for upgrading existing jobs, and then you have this green life skills or generic green skills, and then the transformative skills. And the transformative is really important. And I think this links back also to, you know, what's the role of education? You know, education for liberation, Paulo Freire, you know, or is it just to be a machine to produce? No, so this is all thoughts I think we have to, for ourselves, decide where we stand on this. And that's it. Thank you very much. And we're going to, for those who want to join me, we're going to look at, we're going to do an exercise working how to integrate the green skills into the curricula later on. So happy if you want to join me later on. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this great presentation that I think sets the ground and the understanding of what we mean by green skills. I'm Stephanie Nicol. I am Urban Program Officer at Save the Children. And today I will present you 2 project examples that we have at Save the Children focused on youth empowerment, empowering youth to tackle the climate crisis. We have one program in Myanmar that I want to showcase, and then one in China that has just recently started that I want to show. Yes, okay, great. So just briefly, at Save the Children, regarding climate, we've decided to focus on community-led adaptation, on anticipating to better protect, for example, with early warning systems for natural disasters, on advocating for and with children for the climate justice, on education for climate, and particularly what I'm going to talk about today is the Green Skills and Green Jobs program. So I'm going to focus on this because we really want to try to empower young change makers to tackle the climate crisis. We're inspired by the movements that have been led by youth activists, by their ideas and their potential, and we want to give them the skills, the knowledge, the access to the information, but also the access to the right networks and the right financial links to actually build green skills and the green jobs that they might be able to pursue in the future. So the first project that I'm going to present is called SHIFT. It's a SHIFT accelerator in Myanmar. And again, it's really focused on giving a voice to youth, to young people. All the participants were below age of 24. And to showcase and amplify their voices. So what we have done is through youth-led and youth-focused methodology, so really giving the hand to the youth to choose their own challenges, whatever environmental challenges they decide to focus on. Using this methodology, SHIFT gives young people access to training, to tools, mentorships, network, and financial resources to create and execute issue-based campaigns. So it is really an advocacy-based accelerator program, and it is called SHIFT because we believe that youth can shift the narrative and can shift the dial towards the climate crisis. The first campaign of this project was focused on air quality in Yangon, which is the biggest city in Myanmar. And it was a group of youth, 10 youth participants that arrived to the accelerator program saying, we believe that air quality in our city is a terrible issue. It is an issue that affects everyone, but especially young people, especially youth, and there is a great lack of data. There's misinformation, there's a lack of information regarding the harmful effects of air pollution on the health and well-being of people. And they couldn't find accurate data of what the quality of the air in their city was like. So they decided to get small air quality monitors, very cheap air quality monitors, and with the links that the accelerator program have created, they have set these air quality monitors in different areas of the city. They started gathering the data, and they set up a Facebook page where they were sharing daily the levels of air quality and air pollution in the city. And it immediately got quite a bit of traction on Facebook, which was their preferred platform. And with all of this, they noticed that there was traction, that there was interest in this. So what they decided, but there was still misinformation. What exactly does that mean? What does it mean if the air quality is bad? And so they also decided to take information and distill it in simple manner and start an advocacy campaign, both on Facebook. And then, as you can see here, they decided to take Dr. Air Bear, which is this cute teddy bear, cute white teddy bear that they decided to use as their mascot to go around the city of Yangon. First, to attract attention, because, of course, people would be walking around the city and wondering, why is there a teddy bear going around the city? But also, the fur of the teddy bear would get darker and darker throughout the day, demonstrating how bad the air pollution was. And they took this as an excuse, as a hook to start talking to people on the street and start telling them how important air pollution was. So the accelerator program facilitated their ideas. They decided on the challenge, and we just facilitated the access to the networks because they were supported by an organization, both financially and with different methodologies. There were different methodologies to actually activate the advocacy campaign, both online and then in person in the streets of Yangon. And this particular campaign was so successful that it actually attracted the attention of the Department of Meteorology, which then decided to actually open up their air quality data in certain parts of the city. So it actually created change and access to information around the city. The second project that I want to present today, if I can change the slide. I'm not able to change it. Thank you. Is a project or is an advocacy campaign, another campaign, also part of the Shift Accelerator program, which is Young City Shapers. And they decided to focus on waste and public space. So they identified waste in the public spaces of Yangon as being a major challenge for the utilization of public space and for, again, the health and well-being of the general population. And talking to people and just, of course, then being citizens themselves, they realized that there's a lack of ownership, a lack of, not only by the authorities that were not actually providing cleaning services or pickup waste services, but also by the community, because they did not feel like the public space was also their space, because it wasn't space that they could actually use for anything, because there was just waste laying around and the square had no purpose. So what they decided to do is they started, again, first an online campaign called Plastic Me Off, and where they showcase different ways to recycle, reuse, and reduce plastic, plastic consumption, and how you can also exactly reuse different plastic in a more sustainable way. Then what they did is they created a placemaking activity in this specific public space. They first cleaned it up, and then with the involvement of the community, and then they started they created a one-day event where they invited the entire community, and they had special games and special sub-events to, again, share information of why plastic pollution is bad and what they could do with the public space that they were given. And from this, the community then actually took ownership, and they created, from this bare area, actually public space that could be used with benches, with playgrounds, and different activities that could be actually done in Yangon. And then briefly, I want to introduce the second project. Yeah, I can't change, is there? Thank you. The second project that I want to quickly present is the Youth Innovation Lab in China, which is really focused on developing green skills. It's an innovation lab, so again, young people come to the lab with their own ideas, their own challenges, and try to, through design thinking methodologies, come up with their own solutions. Again, the lab basically facilitates the networks, facilitates or gives them the design thinking methodologies to actually successfully bring up their solutions. We know the youth have the solutions, they are creative, they just need to be given the platforms and the methodologies to actually get to a solution and a concrete program and project. So these are the steps of design thinking. I don't really have time to go into today. And this project has actually recently started, so unfortunately I don't have solutions yet. I do not have the outcome yet, the concrete outcome yet, but the three groups decided to focus on greenhouse gas emissions, air pollution, and biodiversity loss. So these were the three big challenges that they decided to try to tackle with some innovative solutions. I just want to conclude to say that we really believe that given the right tools, youth can bring out change. They can create the green jobs of tomorrow, or of today, actually, already. So they just have to be given the right tools, knowledge, and access to information, networks, and financial support. So thank you very much.
So our next speaker, thank you, Stephanie. This was a very enabling and interesting project, very encouraging. Our next speaker will be joining us from Pristina. Bardh, Xërdxa, giving an overview of youth environmental impact, the YENI project, which is being implemented throughout different municipalities in Kosovo. Here we go. Thank you, Bardh.
Thank you. Greetings to everyone. Thank you for inviting me to the RECI conference. My name is Bardh Xërdxa, and I work for the Caritas Switzerland in Kosovo in the position of environmental coordinator within the YENI environmental project, as you can see in the picture. So the project is 3 years, and it started from the issue that Kosovo is a country in Western Balkans and has the youngest population in Europe. We have like 53% under 25 years. So this makes the influence and priorities of youth especially important for the future of our country, especially in the combating climate change. When we ask the youth in Kosovo what are the major issues on environment or climate change, they see climate change or environment only like air pollution because they see it, and waste management. And the minority of them think that the climate change is a major issue. So there is a big public discourse lack in Kosovo towards the youth in the climate change consequences that we know. Next slide, please. The aim of our project is youth are engaged to protect the environment and the climate in Kosovo's municipality. So the idea is to achieve climate action and environment protection through active engagement and empowerment of youth. This is achieved by educating and mobilizing the youth of 60 secondary high schools in Kosovo. So the age group is 15 to 18. Through educating them, establishing eco clubs and giving them some grants, so then they can do the climate change and environmental protection projects to their schools and their municipality. In this way, mobilizing youth actively can contribute to the development of local environmental action plans within their municipality. Next slide, please. Our partners, as mentioned earlier, are the three ministries of Environment, Education, and Regional Development. We target 16 municipalities in Kosovo and at least 16 secondary high schools, and we have also implementing partners in 5 regions. The outcomes of the project are the youth of secondary school to be actively undertaking some kind of climate action activities and recognized as a partner with the municipalities in climate change initiatives. The second output is we will kind of try to involve the component of youth in every municipality's local environmental action plan. So next year, there will be a youth activity on climate change in our local environmental action plan of the municipality. And the third component is all the stakeholders in this to make some climate change initiatives in their municipalities. So the idea is in 16 Kosovo municipalities achieve climate action and environmental protection through active engagement of youth. How is this done? This is achieved by educating and mobilizing youth from 16 high schools on climate change and environmental topics. The topic will more strongly be anchored by establishing these eco clubs in every school, and we will mobilize youth actively to contribute to development of this local environmental action plan. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next. So here you can see a map of Kosovo and are targeted with a yellow-green color, the targeted municipality. So it's like half of Kosovo's territory. Next slide, please. Approach of Caritas Switzerland through the project YENI has put the main focus on climate action, education and climate action. So it's related to the climate action, SDG Climate Action 13, and as well as SDG 4 and 4.7 on education on climate action. Next slide, please. The results. So the project started with signing agreement with 14 municipalities until now. 2 more will be signed next year. We appoint in every municipality our focal point, because to have access to secondary schools, you need a focal point for the municipality for our project. We identified and signed 40 municipalities, and until now 46 schools. So 46 schools means 46 eco clubs established. Most of the municipalities until now, we have 11 municipalities which have established already eco clubs. Some of them also have their eco club already established, like in the capital of Kosovo, for the 11 secondary high schools. From the project Yeni initiative, 8 are new eco schools established. Next slide, please. Okay, the next result is, because there are lack of data on climate change knowledge on the secondary schools in Kosovo, we made a study called Analysis of Knowledge of Youngsters in Secondary High Schools in Kosovo in Environment and Climate Change, Climate Action. And then, the main findings came that environmental pollution is the most, has more percentage in that survey. And when you ask them on climate change, and they say that there is a lack of knowledge on that topic, and they would really love to have the topic of climate change in their curriculum. That's why, in the next slide, we have engaged 4 professors from the University of Pristina. No, go back slide on the last result. No, back, please. One more back. Sorry. Here. Yes, so we have engaged 4 professors from the University of Pristina to draft 4 models, 4 new models on climate change. The first one is climate introduction, then the second one, the climate change tools, etc., etc. But after that, we also engaged these professors to be master trainers, so they can train the secondary schools, high schools teachers of biology, ecology, so this topic to remain in the schools, because the eco club students, after 3 years, they go to university. So also we have the component to teach the teachers of biology and ecology on the issue of climate change, and also there will be like the teacher training, and these visual learning materials will stay as a topic on climate change for the long run. Also, what is important, we are also delivering climate stress workshops. Climate stress workshops is a new tool on understanding the climate change from causes to consequences. So it's a tool so the school children and high school students will know in 3 hours time the causes and consequences of climate change. And this we are given to all eco clubs in Kosovo. Next slide, please. Okay, now for the outlook, we need to sign the other remaining municipalities and continue delivering the environmental development skills that we are doing to eco clubs. We are kind of training the eco clubs member to write project proposal on environment, and then they will send the project proposal to Yeni project, and we will give them a grant of 5,000 euros so they can start first climate initiative in their schools and in their municipalities. So it's an incentive. Then the professors, as I said, will start delivering in every municipality, building capacity of teachers of biology and ecology. The last result is also we are trying through the eco clubs and municipality to work together in when the new review of local environmental action plans are in place, also to have the component of youth there. So their climate action, so to remain sustainable. After Project Yeni goes after 3 years, so in the municipality, they will have a small budget only the youth of that municipality to remain active with the climate change actions. Final, next slide, please. Next slide, because okay, here. So the final will be like 90 teachers of biology, ecology trained in this field. Education materials on climate change will be prepared and be as an extracurricular material stay in the schools. And successful implementation of 60 small projects in the schools, and at least 50% of layups stay in the school. So to end my presentation, the idea is to establish the eco clubs throughout Kosovo in the public schools, I'm saying, and then to capacitate the members of eco clubs, give them these grants, and then they will do some climate initiative, climate project for their school and municipality. Then the third one was in local environmental action plans to include the component of youth. Thank you to all. And now I give the floor to the one student from Kosovo. Is a member of eco clubs. Edivitija, the floor is from you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bardh. I would like to thank everyone for having me, and thank you personally for inviting me and giving me this amazing opportunity. As you said, my name is Edivitija. I am a student of the high school Xërdxa located in Pristina, Kosovo, and I am 16 years old in the 11th grade. Just before school started, Bardh and his team reached out to local high schools in Pristina and actually held a 2-day seminar with us, teaching us the issues of global warming and how we as the youth can fight them, how we can create projects, and how we can reach out to government and other organizations to help us with our goals. Today I'm going to talk about the importance of youth members joining eco clubs. Our school has always wanted to start an ecology club, but we never really had the chance until Bardh came along with his team and actually helped us a great deal. We have since formed our ecology club and have done a lot of great work. We have done a lot of research and found out a lot of things about global warming that I never personally knew. So this has opened my eyes to a whole new perspective on the danger that it poses. I really encourage everyone watching this and every member, every young person in the world to join an eco club. It is very important. The work we do is so amazing, and we can help a lot of countries. For example, as we said earlier in the project, one of Kosovo's biggest problems is air pollution. See, I always heard people saying this, but since I started the club, we have done a lot of research, we have done a lot of projects, and we have actually even gone out to the city in different parts of the cities and gotten air samples and tested them. We have found out how polluted the air is, and this is just one of the many projects that we have actually done. And we have even gotten a 5,000 euro grant to help our school, not just my school actually, every high school in Pristina and every high school in Kosovo, to help better make their school a green and more and a better place. So this is very important. Once again, would like to thank Bardh and encourage everyone to join eco clubs. And if that is impossible, do your own personal work. Just so much as planting a tree in your garden can help massively. Thank you very much for your time. I am Edivitija.
So thank you very much to Bardh, to you, Eddie. That was a great presentation, very uplifting, and a lot of work on the ground. Thank you. A part of us will hear more from you, I guess, in the breakout. So now it's time for the breakout sessions. We have a slide on this. Please. Thank you. So there is no translation. That's the first thing. There is one online group. If you would like to join the online group, you would need to have a laptop or maybe a cell phone. The two other groups, one is with Nina and her colleague Carol Switzer over there. To your right and to your left is with Stephanie Nicol. Important thing is that each breakout needs to produce one recommendation to feed into the manifesto that Beatrice introduced this morning. So the idea of the workshop is to come up with a manifesto on SDG 47. We would need a recommendation per group and an individual pledge, which you can write during the day. In addition, there will be the opportunity to get interviewed in this hallway just before you come up to the big hallway to your left. You can get interviewed on SDG 47, etc. after this workshop and after every workshop in the afternoon. Ideally, each workshop, each breakout group selects a speaker who will feed the recommendation into the Padlet. We have prepared a Padlet, and who is, she or he would be ready to briefly summarize that recommendation, present that recommendation in the plenary at the end of this workshop. So I hope that's it for the instructions, and Anne and I and others are around if you have any questions. Thank you. For the sake of, it's maybe easy if you just stay seated where you are and just have a look at the Padlet, which now contains the recommendations of your groups. Do you have a speaker? Does your group have a speaker? Someone who just wants to say something about the outcomes? No?
No.
You are breakout 2. Okay, anyone? Yeah? Sure.
Loud enough otherwise. So yeah, we had interesting discussions in small groups and in the big groups. What are the constraints for children and youth to become effective agents of change, and how can these be addressed through actions at structural or policy level? So of course these constraints are numerous, like political, socioeconomic, absence of, opportunities. Some children may lack access to education even, so, there is numerous constraints, and it requires, action and collaboration at different levels, structurally, like really from family, community, school to local governments, to also the international community. So yeah, we came up with a very generic recommendation to capture that all in like one sentence. So all stakeholders, be it international cooperation actors, authorities, schools, international organizations, donors, etc. These actors should better collaborate and build alliances to address structural constraints and enable children and youth to bring sustainable change. So somehow trying to capture all these structural levels and all constraints in one recommendation. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Merci, Valérie. Now, group 1. Carol Switzer.
Thank you. So we had a quite vivid session with lots of movement. Thanks everyone for your good input. We started with talking about strengths that we have access to, what barriers we might encounter, and from that developed recommendations, which we've summarized here. As you can see, principally this change of mindset, a paradigm shift, taking it seriously, which we've seen this has been happening a little bit forward, a little bit back. But in particular, take the community's needs seriously, don't minimize conflicts, and readiness to question the establishment. So this is what comprises what we feel is the most important one, which is the paradigm shift. This is probably our timer. But I could go quickly through. The rest of them are going to be no surprise to you, I think. Collaborative learning, including knowledge exchange, engaging stakeholders when developing the curriculum. So this can mean that we use green skills also with regards to creating green jobs. So there's an incentive behind it. Teacher training, that was a big one. There were a lot of small versions of that. And political action, policy making to create an enabling environment so that these things can happen. And localization, decentralization, I think the person that spoke this morning from the STC said that very well, the importance of not coming in with the ideas already set and allowing the local context to participate in the creation of any new curriculum, including green curriculum. And that's it. And we're going to summarize more at lunch, and you'll see it either after this session or if there's time later today. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. And for group 3, they have some final recommendations, Bardh or Anne?
Bardh, hello everyone. Group 3 had a very rich and very diverse and interesting discussion here online. And most of the discussion was about how the YENI project from Kosovo could be replicated in the other regions. And we talked and discussed about the eco-clubs, how to establish them, and how those can be established in other countries. And Kosovo's issue is that the eco-clubs should be established through the law and administrative instruction through the Ministry of Education and the school. And the other discussion were about how the teachers can support the learners for the youth action plan. There we didn't have any recommendations. So for the recommendation, we will send it later on through the workshop. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bardh. With that, my daughter just called you the prof at school. Sorry. With that, we have the final recommendations to feed into the manifesto. And I want to thank all the 3 speakers, Nina, Bardh, Stephanie, for very rich interventions and leading off the workshops. You did a lot of very hard work, and really heartfelt thank you also for bearing with the technique and for the preparations that went into it. Thanks a lot. I hope you gained something out of this. And also to all the participants, thank you very much and enjoy lunch. And we reconvene at 2:45. But please check again on the program or ask the volunteers that are around for more instructions. So thank you, and see you around.